I was had the Excel sheet.
Okay.
Now I can't see the
So yesterday we were looking at the simulation of a lemonade stand, right? And so now you have some data, and we're going to make some sense out of that data in your spreadsheets. Now I've given you a sheet. The person, remember your roles. You had the CEO, the secretary, and the logistical person. Your logistical person will probably want to hold on to this sheet and help out the secretary and the CEO. You got to oversee everything, make sure that everything's getting done properly. The down about a third of the way on your page, if you look, it says criteria for the spreadsheet. I just want to real quickly highlight on that before I let you go work in your groups, and I'm going to come around and talk to your groups about your spreadsheets. Calculating your annual income based upon your total income from the game. I've given you the formula that you would use to do that. And then also your annual expenses. Now, if you didn't get to the end where it tells you your total income, total expenses, you may have to play with those numbers a little bit to see what it would have been based upon the data that you kept. And we can talk about that when I get to your group if you have an issue with that. Calculate your net profit. I didn't give you a formula for that because hopefully among the three of you in your group you can figure out how to do that. If not, I'll help you with that. And make a 2-year forecast for each of the following growth rates, 1%, 3%, and 5%. And then create a chart that represents the data for each of the growth rates. And then again, we want to format the spreadsheet to reflect the things that we've learned when we looked at Excel, okay? And then there's some reflection questions down there that I'll cover with you as I go around. All right? So, are there any questions before we begin? All right, you guys can go ahead and get started. And I'm going to start up here in the front. All right, guys. So, we got a couple of things to ask you as far as your spreadsheet goes. First of all, you have any questions about how to do the calculations? Feel like you got a pretty good grasp of that?
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good. I took a picture of the final net profit.
Okay, that last screen.
Yeah, we don't have that on our spreadsheet yet.
Okay, but you can include that. Right, good. And your charts. As far as calculating the growth rate, are you sure on how to do that? So there's 3 different growth rates that I gave you. So it's sort of like there's 3 scenarios. There's kind of we did a little bit better, we did really well, and then we did way better than expected, like 1%, 3%, and 5%. So do you know how you would calculate that based upon your annual numbers?
Would it be like the starting value and then
Yeah, starting value, and then you multiply it by what? If you're calculating 1%.
1.01.
1.01, very good. And then you would get a value, and that'd be your expected total for your second year, because you have your first year from the first calculation, and then you want to do a 2-year forecast, so you have to do it one more time. And still have a new number. Make sense?
Right, so it's the same number, like a new number every time.
Right,
Based off the previous year.
Right, there's 1%, 3%, and 5%. And then making charts. You guys are good with that. You may want to remember what can we do with workbooks? We can make more than one worksheet, right? And so you may want to put your chart on a separate sheet to make it look a little bit better. And then what kind of formatting did you have in mind? Where are you guys with that yet at this point?
We haven't formatted it yet, but we might break it up because right now everything's on the same worksheet and it's kind of confusing. So probably should put it on 2 different worksheets and then another worksheet can be our graphs.
Okay, so you have 2 different files since you're working as a group. That's fine. You can do that. So what do you think about as far as what we did in the project? How do you guys think you did as a group? Functioning as a group?
I think we did pretty good. We got over $100.
Did the roles make sense to you guys? Were you able to follow that very well?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you have any weaknesses that you could identify? Anything you could have done better?
made more money.
There's too many cold days for that.
Too many cold days, right? The simulation didn't cooperate, made more money, yeah. Your shareholders would like that. What do you think is a takeaway that you have from doing this, like something that would apply in the real world? What do you think about that? Like, how would how does this translate beyond our class?
Like on the actual.
Kind of like investments, if you make an investment in something, it's kind of risky, you don't really know what you're gonna get out of it.
Investments are risky.
It is.
Yeah.
So how does the spreadsheet help with that risk?
It helps you,
Just
it
notice
can,
trends.
Can what? Look at trends.
it
Yeah.
can keep you from making mistakes, I guess.
You
Yeah.
kind of anticipate pitfalls, things that might happen in the future. That's good. Yeah, and that's really the way that they use that a lot. Any of you three think you could ever use something like this in your future?
Maybe, yeah.
In the entrepreneurial spirits here.
I wish.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope that if anything else, maybe you learned that you can apply this not just to
To this
the
class.
eliminate stand game. I mean, that's just a simple simulation, but beyond that too.
That's it.
Maybe you want to be a flight instructor someday, right? So you want to keep track of that, be able to see how that works in your aspiring to become a pilot. So you never know how things like that will come back around. So you guys have any questions? You feel pretty good about the direction you're going in?
The first one's
All right, I'm gonna let you get started.
Alright.
Thank you.
just subtracted from each other.
Hey guys, gonna borrow you for just a minute. I'm gonna ask you a few questions. So, you guys have any questions as far as the calculations you're doing for the spreadsheet?
So if we only have 23 days, do you just want us to work with that, or do you want us to do
Well, the 23 days, if you look at the formula for annual income, how am I asked what is it a daily or a monthly or what type of total income am I asking you to calculate?
Oh, it's the number of days played.
Right, so I gave you a formula that takes that into account, so that you can use however many days you played, you can always get that annual amount. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you played 12 days, you could still get the annual income from that, okay? So just, don't worry about the extra days. As long as you have those numbers to be able to do the calculation and you can figure it out, you should be good. What about the forecasting? Do you understand how to get that?
No, actually, I don't know how to do that.
Don't know the forecasting? Any of you guys know how to do the forecasting part? Hunter? So it says to make a 2-year forecast following growth rates, 1, 3, and 5%.
Would you just
So-
do the same day and then just times about and then add that to the total?
Not the day, but so you have your total income, right, that you
And times
calculate.
that by 1.02.
1.02, but what percentage is
Or
it?
1.01,
Yeah.
1.03.
There you go. You 1.01, 1.03, and 1.05, but you have to have your net profit first, right? So, either way, you could actually do it either way. But each one of those values that you get in an annual amount, you multiply it by the 1.01 because you're converting the percentage into a decimal. So you can do that, and that'll give you an amount. We want a 2-year forecast, so you have to do it twice. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so after you have those calculations, then, you can make a chart. Y'all good with charts and everything, where we learned about that, and then formatting the spreadsheet with the stuff that you need. So, any other questions about the spreadsheet part? All right, good. Do you guys, real quick about the group dynamics, how do you guys think you function as a group? Yeah, pretty good teamwork. You fell into your roles pretty well. How'd you do as CEO there?
Good audit decisions.
You like being in charge?
About 300 lemons in one day.
300 lemons in one day. Well, probably didn't mean to do that, but hopefully they didn't spoil.
They didn't actually.
And then anything that you could have improved your group, or something that you guys felt like you could have done a little better?
You
So-
understand the max amount of limits 4 times.
Yeah.
Would've been great.
Just being a little more careful about data entry,
Yeah.
right? Who is my logistics person? Yeah, you gotta be on him to make sure he's
Well, I
not
can't, yeah, he literally went like.
making a careless error, right? Well, okay, so you just had to write him up for that. And then, anything you would do differently in the simulation?
Not buy 280 lemons in one day.
Yeah. Other than that, not nothing really.
Okay. What do you guys think about the project overall as far as how could you see how this applies? How could it apply in something that you would use in your own life?
If you started your own business or something, you could keep like tracking all your data, to see if you're like successful or not.
Yeah, starting your own business, having a spreadsheet is huge. And were you the data entry person?
Yeah.
How did you like doing the data entry?
It wasn't really fun. It's hard to keep up. It was so fast. I had to type all the stuff down.
They were wanting to go fast,
Yeah.
and yeah, the data entry part, it's a detailed job, and so you got to kind of do the parts that you don't like, but you get information that's helpful out of that, right?
That's pretty good.
Anything else? Any questions you guys have as far as making the spreadsheet and going through that? All right, awesome. Good job, guys. Let's see. Go to my group back here.
What is, this isn't dating something, so what is that?
I'm checking with these guys.
Average profit, right?
All right, how we doing, guys? How we get any questions about the spreadsheet? How to do the calculations?
Yeah, we forgot.
We didn't finish.
I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't finish. We didn't get all the way to finish. We didn't know if we got in the profit.
Oh, okay. So, all right, what are you doing?
I was just trying to see if I could just do that again.
Oh, you're on day 8. How many days did you do?
19.
Okay. So even if you just did a 7-day forecast, or you can keep going with what you have, but even if you just did 7 days, you could still use these formulas because they convert it to an annual. If you look at it, the total income divided by the number of days played, so that's, and then you multiply that by 365. So that's going to give you an annual amount no matter how many days you play. Okay. So if you want to just do 7, you can start it over and just do 7. Or if you want to continue that one, if you feel like that one's going well and you want to go to 19, that's fine too. And you're keeping track of the data. Okay. So I want to jump down for just a second. The 2-year forecast part. Do you guys understand how to do that? Where it talks about the 1%, 3%, 5%, make a 2-year forecast for each of the following growth rates. Okay, so you're gonna get an annual amount that your company made, right? You're gonna get a total income and a total expenses, and you're gonna subtract those out, so you'll have an amount of money that you made. And then all you're gonna do is just take that amount that's an annual amount, multiply it by 1.01, convert that 1% to a decimal. That'll give you a 1% growth for another year, so a total amount, right? Okay, so then, but you gotta do that for 2 years. Okay, so you do it 2 times. So you have year 1, you made this amount of money, you multiply it by 1.01. Year 2, you have this amount that you made, and then you take that amount and multiply it by 1.01. And then year 3, you'll have total amount. Does that make sense? So from year 1 to year 3, if you grow 1%, you'll see a little bit of increase each year. And you do that again for 3% and 5%. When you get closer to doing the calculations, if you have a question, just raise your hand. Okay. I just want to make sure I would talk to you about that, so you were good. Creating the charts, formatting the spreadsheet. You guys good with all those steps?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we did that in the projects before. Talk to me for a second about your group dynamics. What do you guys think you did well with the group?
Yeah.
Worked well as a group. Who was my CEO? You were. Okay. And how do you think you did with being the one in charge?
I think it was fun. I got to be all decisions.
You got to be the boss. All right, that's good. Do you? What were things that your group could have done better or done a little bit differently?
Calculated the weather.
Yeah.
Take into account the weather,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, the weather plays a big part in that simulation. just like in real life, I mean, if you actually had a lemonade stand game, you know, it'd make a difference as to how well you sold things. And so if you had it did differently, then I guess you would just take that into account more closely. Give me you guys, give me how do you see this, using this in something in your own lives or, you know, beyond our classroom? Why do you think it's important?
Well, if you get into like a job, then they like need you to produce wisdom, so you could put the inventory in and like see how much you need and stuff like that, or break it down at least.
Yeah, keep track of the inventory. Spreadsheet could help you do that. Were you able to hear him? Yeah. Say that one more time.
If you like have a job, you can use that to like do the inventory, use it to like calculate the inventory and things like that for your job.
Looking at, yeah, how much you're selling over time. Yeah, and how much inventory you need to keep. Those are definitely important. How about from the forecasting standpoint? Thinking back to your inventory piece there.
Or like if it's like 58 degrees like outside right now, you don't need that much because you won't sell as much because it's cold. But if it goes up to like 97 degrees, you'll need more of that because then you'll sell more because people are gonna be hot and they want something to drink.
Right, so your demand changes based upon the weather, and therefore you need to have more inventory, right? So you need to buy more of your stuff. Yeah, that's good. Good job. All right, guys, do you have any questions for me? All right. Let's move on down here to these guys. All right, how we doing? Where's it? You guys have any questions about doing the calculations?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the total income is that price for every day?
So, yeah, you wouldn't wanna, this is what you ended with at the end of each day, right? Okay, so, yeah, that would be your total income. Did you make it to the end of the simulation? Okay, so at the end of the simulation, it gives you a screen that talks about total income and then total expenses. So, if you want to, not that you wanna, you can still use this, and you could use this final amount, and then, see, that's how much money you had made. So your total income is going to be close to that. It's going to be, might be a little bit difficult to figure out your expenses though. You could do the simulation for just 7 days, and then you'll get that screen at the end, and then you can kind of compare your numbers and see what your expenses might have been based upon that, because it probably won't take you long to do that. Because that might be one piece of information that would be helpful. Who was you were my CEO, right?
Yeah.
So just get on the simulation and do it for 7 days so that you can get that last piece. And then you guys can look at your income that you made versus the income you made over 7 days. See if you can get a sense for what the total, you can guesstimate on that one. I'll let you do that since you didn't know that you needed that.
Is the net profit just the total we had minus the $20 that we started out with?
Well, it would already take that into account when it was calculating. I guess, yeah, you would take the $20 out that you started with. Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't understand how you would do make 2-year forecast for each of the following growth rates.
Right. So when you get your annual amounts from the first 3 calculations that you do, all you do is you just multiply the totals that you got times 1.01, 1.03, or 1.05, and you got to do that for 2 years because it's a 2-year forecast. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're going to get a different total for each one of those. You just use that percentage for each year. Okay. You just have to convert that percentage to a decimal. We're good with that? Okay. And then creating the charts and formatting the spreadsheet. Do you have any questions about doing any of that? All right, cool. Reflect. Tell me for a minute how you felt your group performed as working together. You guys feel like your roles were good and everybody knew what they were supposed to do? Okay. All right, cool. And do you guys anything you would change or do differently to try to improve your outcome here?
Probably like some of like the recipes and stuff when we're making the lemonade.
The recipes for the lemonade,
Yeah.
were they, was it, their satisfaction was low or high, or you
I
needed
mean,
more?
it was pretty high.
Could have been better, needed more lemons and sugar,
Yeah.
maybe you could have increased your price, try fluctuating your price a little bit.
Well, I was doing that, like rainy days I would drop it,
Mhm.
and then on sunny days I would raise it. Sometimes it would work.
Okay. So can you guys think of how this might apply outside of just our simulation? Like how would a business use a spreadsheet and forecasting? Why it's important?
That's what every business has to do. To see what their like market looks like.
See what their market looks like,
Upcoming year.
right? See what their market looks like and try to anticipate where they're going, have a direction. Great, guys. You guys did good. If you have any questions for me? All right. So if you want to work on that simulation, just do a 7-day and then kind of see where you are with it, okay? So this is like your do-over. Try to get that product up. Well, thanks, guys.